Welcome to Management of Risk Foundation course. This is module number 1, an overview of the course. Even before we dive into module number 1, let's look into what One World Training is all about. One World Training is a global training, business simulation, and training company having its offices in the United States, UK, the Netherlands, India, Malaysia, and other parts of the world. We provide training in IT, business management, project management, ISO standards, GDRP, and other trainings for individuals and organizations. We deliver courses in different ways. We provide public classroom-based, online, e-learning, blended, and even on-site team trainings for private and government organizations. And we are an authorized training company endorsed by leading professional bodies across the world. What are the course objectives? After completing this course, you will be able to describe the facts, terms, and concepts related to the 4 elements of the MOR framework. And the 4 elements of the MOR framework are principles, approach, processes, and embedding and reviewing. These are the 4 key elements of the MOR framework. What else are we going to learn? We're going to describe the purpose of each of the 4 elements that we looked at previously of the MOR framework. We're going to describe the purpose of the different MOR framework documents. And finally, we will explain how the MOR principles, approaches, processes, and techniques are used. Broadly speaking, we have 7 modules. The current module is module number 1. An introduction plus an overview of MOR. In module number 2, we shall cover the MOR principles. And module number 3, we will look into 4 key perspectives of MOR. In module number 4, we will examine the MOR approach and documentation. In module number 5, we shall examine the MOR process. In module number 6, we shall look into ideas pertaining to embedding and reviewing risk management. And finally, in module 7, we will look into common techniques and risk specialisms. A little bit about the examination. MOR 3 foundation exam has got 73 multiple choice questions. It's a closed book examination. You would be assigned 1 mark per question. There are altogether 70 marks. And you would be given 60 minutes, and the pass mark is 50%. In other words, you should be getting 35 out of 70. And PeopleCert would ask for your photo ID when you do the examination. Now look into the overview of MOR. Completing this module, you will be able to define risk. What are the key components of a risk definition? What is the difference between a risk and an issue? This is often a confused term in a lot of organizations. Explain risk management and why it is important, and explain the MOR framework. So these are the key objectives of this particular module. The definition of a risk. Risk is an uncertain event. In other words, you're not really sure whether the event is going to happen or not happen. It's an event with a likelihood or a probability, or it could be a set of events that, should it occur, will have an effect on the achievement of objectives. So there are 2 key ideas in this definition. Risk is a factor of probability or uncertainty or likelihood, and if that likely event would occur, there is an impact, there's an effect. So mathematically speaking, risk is a factor of probability times impact. So that's what we have in the second bullet point on this slide. A risk is measured by the combination of the probability of the perceived threat or opportunity occurring and the magnitude of its impact on objectives. Now, please keep in mind, traditionally, we are used to look at risk as a threat, anything that is detrimental to the project objectives. But in modern day risk paradigms, risk is also looked at as an opportunity. In other words, what is the benefit a particular uncertain event might bring to a project or a program or a portfolio? So there is a change in the outlook toward risk. And also keep in mind, risk is an uncertain event. It is not an issue. An issue is something that is certain, that is happening today, but risk is something that may or may not happen. Overview on risk management. Risk management refers to the systematic application of principles, an approach, and a process to the tasks of identifying and assessing risks, and then planning and implementing risk responses. So if we ought to be effective in our risk management practice, we need to identify those risks, we need to articulate them, put them in a risk register document. We got to assess them. In other words, we got to rank our risks as high, low, and we got to assign some kind of controls. How do we make sure that we respond to a risk if a particular event happens? So normally, when we think of controls, we normally have controls prior to we might want to put in place if the risk occurs. There is a term that is used in the world of risk management. They talk about inherent risk exposure and residual risk exposure. So we need to have appropriate controls in these elements. But why is risk management important is a question. Risk management is important because it would help in efficient and effective use of project resources. It results in less wastages, and we could kind of deliver services in a better way to the customers because we factor in those likely events and we put in place the necessary controls so that the objectives of the customers or the satisfaction of the customer is not jeopardized. It results in better project management and less firefighting, helps in innovation, and it also helps in a better focus on quality of the outputs that we create. In many countries, there has been an increase in legislation that requires corporate governance and internal control, and this has led to increased focus on more formal approaches to risk management. And usually risk management at the project, program, and portfolio level are part of larger corporate governance and internal controls.